I grew up in Nigeria. I had these VHS tapes of Kobe and Shaq back in the day. I'll just watch that over and over again. And so I had like a little hoop that I nailed to a tree outside my house, and I'll go out there and I'll be, doing some little shimmies and like shooting jumpers out there, just trying to mimic Shaq's moves.
What's up, guys? I am so excited to share my conversation with YY, one of my old friends from college. We both started out at American together way back in 2013. But YY grew up in Nigeria, and he didn't come to the States until high school to pursue his dreams of playing Division I basketball and getting a really great education. But life threw some major challenges at him during this time, and he went through some of the most difficult experiences in his life. From losing his dad, who was his mentor, his best friend, to then getting to college and being diagnosed with a heart condition and losing the sport that he loved forever. Or so he thought. But YY shares his amazing perspective on life after going through so much. And I am so beyond inspired how grateful and positive he still is. And I'm just honored that he shared his story with me. So it's all here in this 3-part series. And I'm so excited to share this very first episode where he talks about growing up in Nigeria and how basketball actually wasn't his first sport as a kid. So he talks about his transition to coming to America, his hilarious story of his first night here in the States, and much, much more. So without further ado, here is YY.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. This is my first podcast ever, so I'm kind of excited.
You have an amazing story, and there's lots of twists and turns. It's like a roller coaster. So I'm sure you've shared your story so many times now. Once you started playing again, were there a lot of people reaching out to hear your story?
Yeah. When I started playing again, there was a bunch of people reached out to me. Basically, they wanted to write stories about it. And so, I was navigating the whole, like, being a college student again, playing basketball again, and, like, having all these interviews.
And now being famous.
Yeah, kind of. But, I mean, it was cool because I really want people to hear my story. And so, I didn't mind it. It was like, fine, I'll sit down and talk to you about it. So.
Yeah. Why was it important to you for people to hear your story?
Because I think that, looking back when I first came in as a college athlete, like it was just like, it was basketball or nothing. I wasn't thinking beyond basketball. I was thinking like, I'm going to play basketball for as long as I can, and, everything else will take care of itself. But, for me, this experience made me think about what I should be, what I should be thinking about after basketball. And so that process came earlier for me than it did for other people. So I just think that athletes should think about, their life after sports. And, so yeah, that's why I want to tell the story.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important. I mean, I feel like we as athletes in general just have such tunnel vision because it's what you've been doing your entire life. It's like what's been most important to you. Like, why would you even think of anything else? It's all you care about. But definitely as you get deeper into it, there's all the opportunities to get hurt. You never know when a split second your career could be over. So I know I talked to a lot of people about that. But we'll start out with some fun stuff. So talk about growing up, where you're from, and what got you into basketball.
I grew up in Nigeria, one of 5 boys, the middle child. My older brothers are twins, 3 years older than me. And, me, and then I have 2 younger brothers. My dad was a professor. He taught at one of the biggest universities in Africa. And yeah, so I came here in 2009, a year after my older brothers came in. They actually introduced me to basketball. They started playing, and they got, there were some college scouts that came to Nigeria, watched them play. That's how they, were able to come here. And so they went to a high school in Westchester, Pennsylvania, played for a year. And then they told me it was great. I should consider coming to the U.S. for school. And that's when I started looking into it. And I came here in 2009. So.
Wow. So when you were a kid growing up in Nigeria, did you ever have dreams of coming to the U.S. or was that not something that was even on your radar before your brothers?
Yeah, it really wasn't something I was thinking about, to be honest. Back then, just thinking back then, I wanted to be a soccer player.
Really?
Yeah, I grew up playing soccer. It's, still follow soccer religiously. But yeah, I was a big soccer guy. I wanted to play so badly. And, And then I started growing taller and taller, and everybody was like, you should consider playing basketball, and that's how I got into it.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I never knew that about you. So you started out, how old were you when you first started playing soccer?
For as long as I can remember, I mean, everyone in Nigeria, played soccer, and we all play soccer, so.
Was it one of those things where you're like, okay, I guess I'll try basketball, like you said, because now I'm so tall, everyone keeps telling me to do it, or were you intrigued by it and for another reason?
A little bit of both. I remember I had these VHS tapes of Kobe and Shaq back in the day, and I'll just watch that over and over again. And so I had like a little hoop that I nailed to a tree outside my house, and I'll go out there and I'll be, doing some little shimmies and like shooting jumpers out there, just trying to mimic Shaq's moves and all that. So, and then my brothers, like I said, were into basketball and they played a lot. So I was like, kind of intrigued. So I wanted to play a little bit and see if I'd be any good at it. So.
And then you were. And then you're like, okay, I guess I'm decent at this. I should keep it up. So you started looking at schools in the US. What was that process like for you?
Yeah, my process was not very straightforward. So I started out, I had a bunch of offers my summer going into my senior year. And I knew that I wanted to make my decision before my senior season because I just wanted to have fun and not have all that pressure and just play. And so I looked at all the schools on my list, and like I said earlier, my dad was a professor, and he instilled the whole idea of like having a good education, and it was never a question about whether I was going to go all 4 years, regardless of like what opportunities I had. Like I was going to go to college, I was going to spend 4 years, I was going to get my degree, and then move on from there. And so for me, I had to look for a school that was going to challenge me both academically and athletically. The coaches at American University started recruiting me the spring of my junior year. They came and watched me at the tournament and reached out, but I told them I wasn't interested.
Ooh, playing hard to get.
Well, I don't want to go to school like in a big city. I wanted like, a school that had its own campus, like in a small town was what I was looking at. But then when it came to it, I was doing research and I looked up American University and I was like, wow, it's a good school academically and athletically. I get to, be challenged in the Patriot League. So I reached out to the coaches. I'm interested. Are you guys still interested? So they were like, yeah. So they came back, watched one of my practices, and they were like, yeah, they offered me on the spot right after the practice. And so I remember they wanted me to commit right away, but I said no, I needed to take an official visit. So I came here. And I met the team, and it was a bunch of great guys, and just after playing with them and just hanging out with them, it just made my decision very easy, and I committed. I committed actually before I went back home.
Oh wow!
Before I left, I just told them, I love it here, and I want to come here, and that's how it happened.
That's awesome. Wow, yeah. I mean, that's interesting how your interests changed from you initially wanted to go to a smaller town or something that was kind of, on its own. And some kids go into it, they're like, I want to be in a big city. But yours was kind of a slower progression into that interest. But tell me a little bit about your high school career, playing in the U.S. for the first time, and talk a little bit about your relationship with your high school coach.
Unique. So coming here, like I said earlier, I was new to basketball. So I came over here and I had to learn basically everything. It's like, the coach would be like, go stand in the short corner, the top of the key. And I'm like, where? And I'm looking around like, what are you saying? So it took me a while. I also played with my older brothers. So they were not very patient because they thought I should have known, the terminology or a bunch of stuff that was going on in the court. But it was a little bit slow. It was a slower process for me to get up to speed with everything that was going on. My high school basketball coach was my host family, so I lived with them, and they were my older brother's host family as well. So, they have 3 boys of their own, and he's just my high school coach is just a great guy. Has a big heart, just accepts everyone, and someone I look up to. And to this day, my brothers are still living with him, and my mom actually is in the States and she's living with him right now. So yeah, he's a great guy. He's really done a lot for our family, and we're very grateful to have him in our lives.
What were some of your expectations coming to the States, and Were they what you expected, or was it much different?
I honestly didn't know what to expect. I mean, my brothers just told me it's great, come here. It's a great school, you know, great basketball, you get to learn. So I just came with a very open mind. Just came in willing to learn and just, you know, I didn't really know what to expect because to be honest, all I knew about America was all I saw in like commercials, like Burger King commercials, like, you know, that's all I see back home. Like, you know, so I didn't know what to expect, to be honest.
That's America for you. Fast food.
Yeah, I remember one of my first experiences was so when I first came here, I had $100 bill. I flew into Detroit was my first touch point in the U.S.
Beautiful Detroit.
So I was at the airport in Detroit. The stores opened up, and I got there at like 9 a.m. and I didn't really know what to eat because I didn't recognize any brands or like anything. And so I walked into a store, and I'm like, I think I picked up like a Snicker bar or something, and I was like, can I have this? And I handed them the $100 bill, and they're like, we don't have change, we just opened up. And so I was like, okay, so I put the bar back and just went back and sat by my gate. But I got there at 9 a.m. and my flight didn't leave till 9 p.m. And so I just sat there all day, didn't eat anything because first of all, I didn't really know what anything was.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was a crazy experience. And on top of all that, when it got to 9 p.m., I was sitting by my gate and nobody showed up. And I was like, what's going on? But apparently they called my name and said there was a gate change.
Oh
But
my.
I guess they butchered my name so badly that I didn't recognize it. And so I went to the information desk and I'm like, what's going on? You know, they told me this was my gate. It says it here on my ticket. What's going on? They're like, oh, sorry, the flight left like half an hour ago. And so they were like, you have to spend the night. I'm like, okay, cool. They're like, all right, so do you have money for a hotel? Brought out the $100 bill. And they were like, well, you're underage, so we can't really put you in a hotel room. And so they ended up putting me in like a kid's room in the airport.
And you're what, like 6'7"? How tall are you?
Yeah, I was like 6'5" at that point, I think. And so I was like on this like couch, with my feet hanging out on the end, you know, these little kids playing with the toys on the side, and some lady came up to me and was like, "So do you want pizza?" And I'm like, "Sure." And she's like, "What do you like on your pizza?" I was like, "Everything, I guess." And so she got me this huge pizza with like literally every black olives, chicken, bacon.
You're like, what is this?
She's like, do you think you'll be able to eat a whole pie? I'm like, sure. Ate 2 slices and I was like done for the night. So yeah, that was my first experience going to the US.
That is hilarious. You're like, all I have is a $100 bill. You could have bought like 100 Snickers with that. I don't know why the guy didn't offer that to you.
Or I could have waited 2 hours and gotten something else, but I didn't think of that, so.
I apologize on behalf of America for that rude welcome.
It's all good. It's a funny story.
That is a hilarious story. Oh my gosh. They're like, yeah, we can't put you in a hotel. It's probably safer if we put you with these children overnight on this like 2-foot couch. That is so funny. What did you end up doing with the $100 bill? I'm so curious now.
I don't know. I think I just saved it. Because I never spent it.
It's like framed. You're like, just remind me how far I've come from trying to buy Snickers with a $100 bill. Tell me about your freshman year of college before obviously everything happened. Like, what were some of your experiences like? I know it's a big change. So what was that like for you?
Freshman year was a big change, but it was something that I was able to manage. You know, having moved from Nigeria here, so it was just, you know, another move.
Okay, not that big of a change, I guess, compared to that. I can't imagine.
Yeah, so it was good, but from a basketball standpoint, it was challenging, mainly because at my high school we didn't have a shot clock, and so coming here, the game was just so much faster. So it took me a while to adjust to that. So yeah, that was definitely challenging for me.
Wow. Yeah, that's a huge transition. What was, the team like freshman year?
Everyone was pretty welcoming. One of the reasons why I committed here, and they were just bunch of great guys. You just want to hang out with them all the time. You know, the seniors would invite me over to their apartment. Like I could just go there, hang out with them at any time, show up unannounced. Like, they would even come to like, little freshman parties with me just to make me feel like, a part of, everything that was going on. So they were great. They were great, great people. In terms of funny stories, actually, I have a funny story from a game. This is something that they still bring up every time we meet up. It's funny. So this was my second basketball game. We're playing against Ohio State, at Ohio State. And I remember being very nervous before that game. And I don't know if it showed in the locker room, but I was very nervous before the game. Second ever college basketball game, huge arena with so many people there. I'd never played in front of so many people before. And I remember going out on the court, started playing, I started feeling a little bit more comfortable. But then I got a pass like from the top of the key, and I was going to, throw a backdoor pass to one of my teammates. But then I threw it so high up because I was like, nervous, and it hit the shot clock.
Oh my God.
I remember that because like it happened and everyone paused for a second, and like I just looked at the bench and everyone, they wanted to laugh, they wanted to give me crap for it, but like everybody was a little bit quiet, and I guess shocked. And then after the game, they just started giving me crap for it up to the day. Like every time we meet up, they always bring that up. And, I don't think I'm ever going to live that down, but, that happened.
Like, why? What was that brick shot? You just shot no arc whatsoever? What was that?
Yeah. I think people in the arena thought it was a jump shot, but I swear it was a pass.
Like, he didn't have shot clocks in high school. He's just mad at it. He's trying to break it.
I know, right?
That's so funny. Yeah, that would be really... I remember you guys playing against Ohio State, and... that was a big game. Was that just a non-conference game?
Non-conference game, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It was actually a close game until the very end, and then,
Then you know how those things go. We can leave it at that. You can check the stats. There's Google. So, other than obviously that game, I mean, was it intimidating being a freshman? What was it like trying to make your mark on the team?
Not really. I mean, to be honest, it was just more of understanding what the coaches demanded from me, and just like trying to do that. It was hard. Some of the things that the coaches were having me do was were things that I've never done before on the basketball court. Like they wanted me to, have the ball, be the decision maker, basically. And the Princeton offense, the center, kind of, it's like I don't know. I'd say maybe like the point guard. So like the ball comes down, the ball gets into the center of the line. He has to make decisions and pass the ball and dribble and throw, different kinds of passes. And, that's something that I never really had to do. In high school, it was like I'll just get the ball and just like score. And I'll just try and score or, miss, get my rebound, try and go back up. And that's really all I did. And so for me, it was different. And, I'd never done those things, but then I was expected to do them and do them to be successful against other D1 athletes. So that was hard for me my freshman year, and just understanding that. So that took a while.
Just knowing Coach Brennan, how would you? I mean, watching him on his own is just as entertaining as the game. How would you describe him as a coach for people that don't know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, he's dialed back over the years, but he's just passionate about basketball, and that's what it is. And his passion just shows on the court. And you come to the bench and he's yelling at you, but just the understanding that that it's coming from a place that he just cares and he wants to win so badly, and that's why he reacts the way he does. That's basically what it is. He's just passionate, and playing for him, he tries to instill that passion in his teams. And like you said, that year, my freshman year, when we were very successful, we had a bunch of guys, older guys, who thought like him and acted like him, played like him, and you were able to see Coach Brennan on the court when we played. So
yeah, everyone bought in. It's such a game changer when you just really respect your coach as a human being, because there's some teams where that doesn't happen. And so when you don't respect your coach and see their passion for the game, you're not going to play that hard for someone that you don't respect that much. So you're right. Like you could definitely see that out on the court. And sometimes people from the outside see a coach who's yelling a lot, raising their voice. But like you said, that's his passion coming out onto the court. And so it's cool that it was kind of contagious and spread to you guys. And you guys were very successful that 2013 season. But for you personally, I know things took a turn. All right, guys, tune in to part 2 to hear about how YY's life completely changed after his diagnosis and what happened when he was told that he could no longer play.